Hello ladies and gentlemen, Sigvalgrim here, and in this video we are going to be covering the following topics. 2 tank builds for Knightmare Batman, the teams that you should pair him up with, what abilities you should max on him, and what artifacts you should max on him. And a pretty interesting thing is that this will be the first guide that will also include the new artifacts added to the game. I'm not sure how I'm going to also include them in the other build guides that I have previously posted. We'll see. But with all that being said, stay tuned for the build guides and for what follows. Thank you very much for watching. Comment down below for any questions that you might have. Like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it. Maybe hit that subscribe button since very many of you are not subscribed. And let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to have 2 tank builds for you because I don't recommend building him as anything other than a tank. Because he's just built to be a tank because of his passive that is going to have a chance to ignore basic attacks. And that is going to be to reflect basic attacks, excuse me, and that's going to be a great passive for tank, and a tank role is going to be what will fit him the most. But before we get into the actual build, a few boundaries that we have to establish. I will do the build for level 60 gears because I don't think it's worth getting him to level 70 gears, and it just costs too much material, and in my opinion peak performance for him at the failurist will be at level 60 gears. All the stats in this build will be calculated for maxed out build. What I understand by maxed out build: all gears at level 60, character at level 70, 6-star character. Though if you do not, and also high roll talents and high rolls on gears. Though if you do not accomplish those conditions, there is no problem with that. You just have to follow the build guidelines towards perfection. Like, I'm going to give you the best variant of the build. I'm going to give you the peak performance variant of the build for me to be more easy to show it to you and to calculate the values. But what you can do is just aspire towards that and gradually build your Knightmare Batman, and stop when you get there, or stop somewhere along the way where you feel comfortable and you feel that the build has accomplished the goals that you have built it for. So with all that being said, the first build is going to be full tank. By full tank I mean that we are going to do our best to get the maximum amount of resistances, maximum amount of defense, and then we are going to put everything into the health. So with all that being said, this build is going to look like the following. We are going to need to have 4 resistance talents, 2 defense talents, 2 defense gear rolls, and the rest of the 13 gear rolls are going to go into health. So for maxed out stats with this build, and yet again by maxed out stats I mean level 70 character, level 60 gears, epic talents, high rolls on gears, you're going to end up with the following stats: 70% resistance, 75% defense, 53,200 health, and 3,626 attack. Other stats other than this are going to be relevant for the build since this is going to be a tank build. We don't care about things like critical attack chance, critical attack damage, and lethal, in this one at the very least. And this is going to be it for this build. This build should be serving you well in the arena and champions arena. Knightmare Batman is not really a character that has a place for raids or solo raids at that matter, so don't really worry about that. It's going to be a great tank for arena and champions arena, and this build is going to fulfill that purpose well. The second build that we're going to be taking a look at will be a tank build where we are going to add a little bit of fast attack for those of you who are going to prefer having fast attack on our tank characters. It's not really my cup of tea, but if you want to go for it, go ahead. It's not a huge difference between those 2 builds. So with all that being said, let's get into the second build. Okay, so getting into the second build, as I have said previously, this will focus on getting him as tanky as possible, but on top of that adding some maxed fast attack on him. Yet again, this is not really my cup of tea, but some people prefer it that way, so who am I to judge? Just have it your way. You want fast attack on every tank, just go ahead. I prefer the first build because I don't think the fast attack is worth the gear slots, and the tank build is going to be, the full tank build is going to be just that little bit more tanky. But if you want to also put fast attack on him, you'll need to go as follows: 3 resistances talents, 3 defense talents, 1 defense gear roll, 5 fast attack gear rolls, 9 health gear rolls. And for max health stats, and by max health stats yet again I mean epic talents, high gear rolls, level 60 gears, level 70 characters, 6 stars, you are going to end up with the following: 60% resistances, 72% defense, 75% fast attack, and 43,200 health. Yet again 3626 attack, though that doesn't really matter. So yet again this build is going to be different from the first one only by the fact that it is going to have some fast attack added to it, and at the same time is going to have lower resistances because we sacrifice one resistance talent, so we move one defense from the gears to make place for more fast attack and more health on the gears. So while this build is going to be a good build, I recommend you go for the first one. So with all that being said, let's get into maxing his abilities. In terms of his ability maxing, you don't really need to max any ability. Like really. His passive is going to be enough for him to do very well for you, but when you will get to a point where you will max some of his abilities for the arena, I recommend going for the second ability because that is going to be long range and is going to almost always hit the target. Other than that, there is nothing really special about his abilities and not really worth maxing them out. The thing that makes this character who he is the passive, so make sure you have that maxed out at all times. And if you want to max a special, go for special too. In terms of team comps, anything. Literally anything. This guy can be a tank for absolutely any team and any character in the entire game. He's particularly useful in Champions Arena because he stuns the target at the beginning of every fight. If you want to go the extra mile, you could pair him up with Arkham Knight Batman, because Arkham Knight Batman is going to increase his health by his passive, and you can pair him up with Darkseid because there's a very fun interaction between him and Darkseid. He is going to stand in a corner blocking while Darkseid uses Apocalypse Bombardment and obliterates your enemy. So with all that being said, in terms of team comps, there's nothing more to say about him. Usually I go in depth in team comps when it's about raid characters, but this guy is not going to be a raid character, he's going to be a tank, so put him in any team you want, or in any team you need a tank, he'll be fine, he'll be just fine. Okay, so now getting into the interesting parts, because as I have said, this is going to be the first build guide where we talk about the new artifacts as well. So for him, the most optimal artifacts are going to be Entropy, Aegis, Heart of Darkness, Father Box, and Anti-H Metal Armor, and Cosmic Staff. Anti-H Metal Armor and Cosmic Staff are going to be one of the old artifacts and are going to be the least good on him. They are going to still perform great on him, but the new artifacts are going to be much better on him, and we are going to go over each one of them and explain why. First of all, we are going to go over the Entropy Aegis. Yet again, if you want a full review and a more in-depth guide on all the new artifacts, I will leave a link down in the description. I have already done that. So Entropy Aegis will reduce the incoming damage that he can take below, so it can't be more than 8.7% of his max health, and at the same time it will reduce incoming hazard and dot damage and hazard secondary effects. Hazard secondary effects mean power drain and stuff like that. Actually, when thinking about it, maybe don't go for Entropy Aegis, because Entropy Aegis will simply be a little bit of an overkill on him, because he will be protected from those things more or less anyway. So yeah, maybe cut Entropy Aegis out of the question when it comes to artifacts. Next up will be Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness will increase his power generation when he's hit with critical attacks, which will happen a lot because you will be using him a lot in Arena and Champions Arena. Next up, plus 100 health. That's going to be amazing for him, and 100% chance to steal the opponent's healing effects. So this artifact is going to be here mainly for the plus 100% health. That's going to be amazing for you, but at the same time it's going to also have some useful effects and some situational effects. this is going to be a great artifact for him. And the last artifact will be the Father Box. This one of the things is that it replaces your rush attack with a teleport that deals plus 200% rush attack damage. We don't really care about that. But the very important thing is that when below 30% chance, you'll heal back 51% of your max health over 6 seconds and cleanse all debuff every 3 seconds. Cleansing a debuff means that if you are stunned, you will not be stunned anymore and stuff like that. So putting this on a tank will be amazing because he will be able to regenerate lots of health, especially, and it specifies max health, so it means that it will stack with what we managed to put on top of those gears. So Father Box will be hands down the best artifact for him because it will basically make him unkillable if he was not already unkillable enough. So this was everything for the artifact section. This was all for this one. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe for more content like this, comment down below for any questions that you might have, maybe press that bell button to get notified for every single upload. This was Valgrim and I'll see you in the next one.